happening, guys? Welcome back to Opinionated Sports with Chris, where my opinion is fact, and it's a fact that your opinion is not. So let's get right into this. So the Dallas Cowboys have cut Dez Bryant, and there's a lot of speculation about where he's going to go. He said in an interview, when I listened to the interview, he said in an interview that he would love to stay in the NFC East. So is that even a possibility? So we're going to touch on where he could potentially go and what his motivation is for going there. And then we're going to touch on the fact of whether or not Dez Bryant's a Hall of Famer. Yes! If he doesn't ever get signed and never plays again, or if he plays again, what does he need to accomplish and how long does he need to play to be considered a Hall of Famer? So starting at the top here, where's he going to go? If he wants to go in the NFC East, where's he going to land? Chris Mortensen reported that nobody in the NFC East has any real interest in him. The Eagles, Redskins, Giants, nobody has any real interest in him. But I don't know how true that is. And the reason I say that is because why would you, and I'm going to resort to my New England Patriots theory here. Why would you, if you do have interest, put that out publicly? There's no reason for this. All of this is a game. It's a chess game. There's rumors, and to bring in my New England comparison, there's rumors about New England wanting to trade up to potentially draft Lamar Jackson or Baker Mayfield or whatever, depending on the rumor you believe. And on Chris and Chris Dorm Room Sports the other day, I was talking with The Almanac. If you haven't heard our new show, go check it out. It's on iTunes. It's on Google Play Music. You can hear it on Anchor. You can hear it on worldofsportsnetwork.com. All of that. But we were talking about it, and The Almanac made a great point. If they were interested in Lamar Jackson, why would they say that? If they're saying it, are they just trying to dupe another team into taking him so they can take the player they really want? This translates to the Dez Bryant situation. If the Giants are truly interested in him, why would they put that out there? What's the purpose of letting the public know you're interested in Dez Bryant? I don't really see him landing in the NFC East. I would be shocked. First of all, he doesn't fit. If he fits anywhere, he fits in New York. He doesn't fit into Philly. They don't have any money left. They have like $1.7 million left in salary cap space. So you're going to add another wide receiver when you have Alshon Jeffrey, Nelson Aguilar. You just signed Mike Wallace to a one-year prove-it deal for $4 million. So if you're going to cut him to bring in Dez Bryant, it's still a $2 million salary cap hit that you have to pay for a player that's not there. And you have the youngster Matt Collins, who had flashes last year. So they're pretty deep at receiver, and you're not going to take catches away from Zach Ertz to go to Dez Bryant. So I don't see him going to Philly based on the fact that there's just really no room for him financially and roster-wise. For him personally, I think that's the best place in the NFC East to go, because I think Doug Peterson and that coaching staff over there will have him in a better position mentally. Because as much as I'm an Eagles fan and I don't like the Cowboys, I think Dez Bryant was a scapegoat for a lot of negativity out there that wasn't necessarily his fault. It was easy for the media to just, let's just bash Dez. Everybody else does it. So the ratings will be high enough if we just continue to bash Dez. And I don't know that a lot of that was him really being a bad dude. I think he's ultra competitive. And sometimes people vision that and see it as negativity on the field when really it's just his desire to win and do well. And I respect guys like that. I respect the Terrell Owens of the world whose desire to win and do well really tarnished his legacy. So I think Philly would be the best place for him, but I don't see him landing there. If anywhere, he won't go to the Redskins. He's not even going to field an offer from them. At this point in his career, what Dez Bryant wants is to, first, beat the Cowboys twice a season. That's what Dez Bryant wants. It's personal for him. He feels slighted, and he should. So one is to beat the Cowboys twice a year. The second is to win a Super Bowl ring. Neither one of those are going to happen in Washington. Sorry, Alex Smith. Sorry, Dan Snyder. Sorry, every Washington fan that's going to watch this. That's not happening. You will be the bottom dwellers in the NFC East for the foreseeable future. You should have scrapped it. You shouldn't have brought in Alex Smith. like he was going to be the savior for you. It's just not the way it's going to happen. So he doesn't fit in Philly, and he doesn't want to go to Washington. So the only place he could land is New York. Now, I think stylistically, this is a great fit for him in the sling it mentality that the Giants have. They haven't had a legitimate rushing game since Tiki Barber, really. And yes, they brought in Jonathan Stewart, who I think is 31 or 32 this year. So they're only truly going to ask him to carry the ball 12 times a game and just keep that sling it mentality. They may draft Saquon Barkley, but I think even though they're very high on him, I think to draft him at number 2 for them specifically is a mistake. I think this is a running back heavy draft, and they could get a guy like Chubb or Geis or Sonny Michel later on in the draft who is almost as equally talented, and either trade or use that second pick elsewhere. So I don't see them drafting Saquon Barkley, even though that's what all the rumors have. I know better. Other people don't know nothing. That's why my opinion is fact. But back to where Dez Bryant fits. Dez Bryant fits in this system on the opposite side of Odell Beckham. You have Odell on one side. If you have Dez Bryant on the other side with Sterling Shepard in the slot, that's a really good trio of wide receivers. What's going to be required of Dez, and this is why I think it's also the best fit for him playing style-wise, is a diminished role. They're not going to target Dez Bryant downfield a ton. That's not really what they're going to do. They have Odell on the slants and the deep routes. He can run every route. His route tree is impeccable, and he catches everything. Had a few drops in the playoffs, but whatever. I know guys just want to have a reason to get on Odell Beckham. The questions that arise with Dez Bryant going to New York are this. Is there enough room in the locker room for 2 ultra, uber, super competitive guys like Odell and Dez Bryant and the egos that go along with that? Is there enough room in there for that? Now, the reason I believe the Giants won't sign him and the reason that he won't fit into the NFC East anywhere is because there's other lingering questions inside that organization. Defensively, what's going to happen with Eli Apple? I assume he's not going to play another game in a New York Giants uniform. He's going to end up going somewhere else. So that's a spot they have to fill. That they put a draft pick into that kid who is super talented. He has potential to be a for real lockdown corner in the future. And the Giants, I don't believe, will ever see him in a Giants uniform again. It was just way too crazy last year with him. And he's going to have to go somewhere that can really knock him down a peg and bring him into the scheme that they're going to play. So they have other lingering questions. They did bring in Nate Solder, who they spent money on because their offensive line is, high school worthy at best last year. And people wanted to get on Eli for having a terrible season and for, getting them to a position where they're the number 2 pick in the draft. But with no offensive line, no Odell, Brandon Marshall was hurt, and for at least 2 games, if I'm not mistaken, Odell, Brandon Marshall, and Sterling Shepard were all hurt. They were calling up guys from the practice squad. Tavares King was out there. If they can get their offensive line together with Odell back healthy, I think they have a better shot of winning games this year and being a potential playoff team. But their glaring holes are going to be on the defensive side now. With Eli Apple, who's probably going to leave, they have to fill that slot among a few other small minor adjustments defensively, because they did bring in Nate Solder and they moved Eric Flowers to the other side tackle, but they lost Justin Pugh. So I just don't see Dez Bryant fitting there either. So let's talk about where I do see him potentially going. I like the idea of him maybe going to New Orleans and playing the opposite side from Michael Thomas. Now, I know they do have a few other young receivers out there that they like to get the ball to. They also have Ted Ginn, who is the stretch the field guy. But let's be honest, Dez is better than all of them. I like the idea of him going to New Orleans. The negative of him in New Orleans is, will he win a chip out there? What's Drew Brees' window of championship winning? What's his window? And I think it's closing really quick. And the problem is, as it closes, Teams like Philly and the Rams are getting better and better and better. And I know that, the Alvin Kamara experiment worked out phenomenally well last year. And with him and Mark Ingram in the backfield and Michael Thomas, they have a lot of potential to, maybe get back to a Super Bowl, but the road isn't easy. But I do like the idea of Dez possibly going to New Orleans. His easiest path to the Super Bowl is going to be in the AFC. New England is deteriorating slowly from the inside out. The Robert Kraft-Tom Brady relationship took a step too far for Bill Belichick last year when they got rid of Jimmy Garoppolo. And so the relationship from the inside is progressing and deteriorating out. So I think they're just going to slowly fade away into existence. And you're really not going to have to worry about them. Yes, Julian Edelman comes back this year, but they lost Brandon Cooks. They traded him away for a bag of peanuts and a bowling ball. I don't understand where they're at. But Belichick has all of the power, even though Robert Kraft is the owner and makes the final decisions. So outside of them, you have Pittsburgh, who they're a coin flip every time they step on the field. What Pittsburgh Steelers team are you going to see? Which Ben Roethlisberger are you going to see? He's aging quickly as well. I do like the Jacksonville Jaguars in the AFC. I think Blake Bortles is getting better and better and better, and you're going to see him become not elite quarterback, but just outside of that elite range in the near future. And with that defense and with that running game, I would love to see him land in a place like Jacksonville, who Allen Robinson went down with an injury last year, but he will be back. Allen Hurns is now in Dallas. So if he lands at a place like that, I think they do have, what's his name? D.D. Westbrook, I believe. He was a rookie last year, and he's super talented. But if you bring in a Dez Bryant and you sign him to a one-year prove-it deal, I think you could really be onto something in Jacksonville, and they could legitimately come out of the AFC. We don't know what's going to happen with the Denver Broncos and the Case Keenum experiment. They're talented across the board at wide receiver, but are they going to be any good is the question, and will Case Keenum fit into that system? So I don't concern myself with them as far as the path to the Super Bowl in the AFC. I don't think they're a legit contender, even with Case Keenum under center. But you lost the Kansas City Chiefs, who decided that Patrick Mahomes was going to be the next greatest thing and got rid of Alex Smith. They're no longer a legit contender in the AFC. With all that being said, Dez Bryant should sign with the Jacksonville Jaguars, follow that path into the Super Bowl, and see what happens. So that brings us to point number 2. Dez's motivation on a team that he's going to, and is he a current Hall of Famer if he were to retire right now? And my answer is that right now he's not. He's just below borderline. If he never plays again in the NFL, he won't get in. He won't get it. He has, I don't know, was it like 7,500 yards receiving and 73 touchdowns. He needs to get to 100 touchdowns and at least 10,000 yards. 100 touchdowns and 11,000 yards is a lock. There's, I believe, 8 players in the history of the NFL that have 100 touchdowns and 11,000 receiving yards. And those are guys like Randy Moss, Jerry Rice, Steve Largent, Terrell Owens, Chris Carter, like guaranteed Hall of Famers. These guys are Hall of Famers. And if he gets to that point, he's definitely a lock to get in. And the only way he can get there is to play another 5 or 6 years, which is going to put him past where he should be at retirement age for an NFL receiver. So in order for him to play 5 or 6 years, he needs to go to a team where he's not the number one option. Jacksonville, the Giants, something like that, where he can preserve his body, catch 5 touchdowns a year for the next 5 years. That puts him over 100. And have 600 yards, 650 yards for the next 5 years. That puts him over 11,000. He can be a manageable, serviceable receiver for somebody and make the Hall of Fame based on statistics alone. And his dominance. He was dominant in his prime in Dallas. So right now, Dez Bryant is not a Hall of Famer. He will be by the time it's all said and done if he follows Mr. Opinionated's reasoning and goes to the Jacksonville Jaguars. That's where you need to be. That's your best path to the Super Bowl. That is where you're going to be able to be a number 2 option because Allen Robinson will be back. And also, in bringing Dez Bryant in, you're going to make Allen Robinson better, who had a phenomenal year 2 seasons ago where I think he had 1,400 yards and 14 touchdowns 2 years ago, then got hurt week 1 this year. So he will make Allen Robinson better by bringing some pressure off of him. And if they don't roll the double team away from him to try to, secure both sides of the field, then Dez Bryant's going to have a field day and will probably have 1,000 yards and 10 touchdowns. If you try to single cover Dez Bryant all the time, he's going to light you up. He's still that dude. So Dez, from me to you, head to Jacksonville. You got Allen Robinson across from you. You got a phenomenal running game. You got a defense that's going to get you the ball. And Blake Bortles is on the come up to be great. You heard it here first, guys. Dez Bryant to Jacksonville. That's all I got for you today. I apologize for being late. I know this was supposed to be up yesterday, but there was a lot of NBA playoff stuff going on, and I need to be informed. I couldn't be missing any games, and some of them with the Celtics game going to overtime, running into the Cleveland game, and then after the Cleveland game, we went right into Oklahoma City. Like, they were back to back to back. My day was hectic, but I had a great day watching basketball. I'm going to come to you later in the week after some more games get played and reevaluate my NBA playoff predictions and see where I stand. Because I'm always right, so we're just going to see why I was maybe less right this time than in other times. As always, guys, check me on the SportsMe app. It's in your Apple store right now, soon coming to Android. You can get on the SportsMe app and debate me, Mr. Opinionated from Opinionated Sports. Be careful when you get on there, though. Don't get your feelings hurt, because I'm hurting them on there. Hurting them. But check out the SportsMe app. Jeff and those guys over there are doing a great job. The SportsMe app was just on ESPN the other day. If you happen to catch it, it was on the backdrop of the NBA preview show, and there was a little logo for the SportsMe app down in the corner. It was pretty awesome. It was awesome to see. You can also catch me once a week. We just started Chris and Chris Dorm Room Sports. Dorm Room Sports, we recorded this weekend, posted it today. It should be on iTunes and Google Play Music by Wednesday. So check that out. Me and the Almanac, we went over a bunch of stuff, collegiate sports related. We talked about Trae Young and Lamar Jackson. We talked about Darius Baisley. We talked about the one and done rule. And it was just a really good time. We had a really great show. We're going to do better going forward. We're working out, this is our first show. We were working out a few kinks. But keep listening going forward. We're going to post one of those once a week. Also, go to World of Sports Network. Check out the shows they got over there. You can hear Baseheads with Lestro, Attorney at Sports, and Cisco the Realist. They're going to talk baseball, and those guys are knowledgeable. They've got all the baseball knowledge you could ever imagine. You can hear that on iTunes and Google Play Music. Also on there is Sports Court with Attorney at Sports and the Guru. You can check those guys out. They go live every Sunday to talk sports with you guys. Trash Talk Radio, as always, go hit them up. Lestro and the Guru have a phenomenal show on there that they post once a week. Go back to episode 31 if you want to hear me talk with the Guru. We go over our top 5 quarterback picks for the last draft. That's all the plugs I got. I got 15 minutes worth of plugs going on here. I got so much going on. Oh, last but not least, we're really, really close to recording I'm Right, where I'm going to argue with my wife over sports as only we know how. So check us out. We got a lot of things brewing. Click the subscribe button on my YouTube page. Like, share this video. Get it out there. Let's get some opinions. Hit me up on my text line at 315-355-3699. And as always, I'm Chris from Opinionated Sports, where my opinion is fact, and it's a fact that yours is not.